Hey everyone, in front of us we have two boxes which contain two knives, well, one knife in each box. In one of these boxes we have a genuine Benchmade mini Bugout which I recently purchased for someone as a Valentine's Day present. And in the other box we have a knockoff or look-alike Bugout that I purchased from Amazon. No-name brand or Huao brand, but a no-name brand knockoff Bugout that I purchased from Amazon. Now the knockoff Bugout on Amazon was $24. The MSRP on a genuine mini Bugout, $180, although you can generally find them from a authorized dealer for say maybe $153 to $170, depending on the model or if it's being discontinued. There are a lot of factors that can go into that, as long as you're looking at an authorized dealer. And that's the point I want to make. In preparing to do this video, I came across something that I was totally unaware of, which was the high number of counterfeit Benchmade knives on eBay. There are a ton of them. I could not believe how many of them. And selling for prices, I mean, some of them are pretty low, like maybe $30 range, up to over $100. And these are not genuine Benchmade knives. In fact, they're probably the same knife that we have in this box, but they come in a box that looks like a Benchmade box. They have all the logos stamped on the blade. And some of them, in the description, give themselves away. But other ones will, all the way through, try to convince you that that knife is a Benchmade. Has the box, has the bag, has the tags, has everything else we're going to see inside this box here in a minute. And I was floored at how many I saw on there. And people that were saying that they're genuine Benchmade knives. It just was unbelievable. So before we get into that anymore, let's go ahead and see what we actually have on the table here. I'll start with our $24 Amazon knockoff Bugout. It was listed as EDC folding pocket Bugout knife, 3-inch razor sharp coated finish, plain edge, Grivery handle with belt clip, axis lock, thumb stud, manual open, black blade. So pretty general Amazon description for what they call an EDC knife. I mean, there are probably tons and tons of knives on Amazon that have a very similar description to that. So let's go ahead and open the box up, see what we have. And as we do that, we'll look and see what it says on the listing. There we go. Fancy green. Does in fact have a black coated blade. You know, it actually looks pretty nice. Looks nice, not really nicely finished, but you know, it's $24, so not super bad. Says it is, about this item. Folding knife dimensions: opened 7.5 inches, blade length 3 inches, blade width 1 inch, blade thickness 2.3 millimeters, this is about 3/32 of an inch. Handle length 4.25 inches, handle width 1.1 inches, handle thickness 9.8 millimeters, about 0.386 inches, 1.8 ounces, blade material 8CR13 MOV steel. Now that is if this is in fact made with that, that is a lower end budget stainless steel used by a couple different companies. Some people say it's about the same as AUS 8. I don't know about all that. But regardless of that, given this knife and the nature of this knife, there's a good chance that that may not even be true. So that is what it listed as. I am not going to say that it is. Could be, could not be. Hard to say. Let's see. Handle material, glass reinforced nylon. Razor sharp blade, satin finish, plain edge, heat treated to 58 to 60 HRC. Outstanding strength and corrosion resistance, manual knife with thumb stud, one-handed opening and closing, anti-slip handle, low profile, 535 Bugout knife. And that's kind of the first place I have a problem with this one, because you know, we can look at this and we can see that it looks like a Benchmade Bugout, but we also know it doesn't have the logo, doesn't have a lot of things that a Bugout would have. So we can kind of tell this is not a real Bugout. But then down in the description, it calls itself a Bugout. I don't like that. But I digress. Lightweight glass filled reinforced nylon handles, comfortable, thin, tough, attractive, ideal for outdoor use and everyday carry. Maybe. Secure axis lock knife, secure and smooth opening and closing, easy to use and very safe. Pocket clip offers ultimate accessibility. Lightweight pocket knife, 535 knife, we have it there again. Weighs less than 2 ounces. Slim profile. Perfect addition to gear collection. This is a knife, not a gear or a cog. Backpack, survival kit, tackle box. Perfect gift for knife collector, backpacker, hiker, survivalist, adventurer, and other outdoor enthusiasts. Other outdoor enthusiasts. Did you hear that? I mean, this is perfect for like everyone. Or they just put that on there so that it would appeal to a large audience. Anyways, that's our knockoff. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our real Benchmade. Before we do that, we're going to take a look at the box because this is important. When I was looking at a lot of the knockoffs on eBay, you would see that the box itself would look almost perfect, but a lot of the times I would see that the lines, the black lines, were too dark going across here. So that's a way that's not necessarily a way to tell because different pictures online can look different. So that may not even be a necessary indication, but honestly, with all of them that I saw on eBay, I would be suspect of any Benchmade knife being sold by anyone on eBay that's not an authorized Benchmade seller. So I'm putting that out there. But that's top. It's the end. Again, the counterfeit boxes will look exactly the same. Well, pretty much exactly the same. There might be a little bits off here and there, but they're impressively good. I mean, they're not. They're garbage. Garbage, and no one should ever buy a counterfeit knife. Okay, that's the outside of the box. Now we have the inside of the box. Got the Benchmade bag. And again, the counterfeit ones will come just like this. Something I did notice, sometimes the foam will look different. They'll even have the little booklet just like this too. At least they have it in the pictures on the eBay description. I don't know. For all I know, you end up getting a box like this. But this is the real Benchmade insert, as you can see. Has the ever sharp guarantee, tells you what's covered, what's not, all that good stuff. As you can see. Now, no one really cares about all that. Although, again, the foam on some of the counterfeit ones will not look correct. So that's something I noticed. Let's go ahead and take this mini Bugout out of the pouch. Out of the pouch. And I was honestly pretty impressed with this little knife. It's a little Axis Lock genuine card. But again, the counterfeit ones I saw also had this. So now, like I said, this is the mini compared to the full size, but the construction materials of the mini are the same as the full size Benchmade. So in that regard, like when we test sharpness here in a minute, they should perform the same. But there's some things I want to point out. And these are ways that you can tell when you're looking at a counterfeit Benchmade knife on eBay. Now, if you look at the Torx head access screw, or pin, however you want, that's a screw, but it's the axis. And you look at this Torx bit, it is very domed. As you can see, it's domed. Whereas if you look at the one on the Benchmade, it's flattened. And that is probably the biggest single indicator right there that I saw that that is not a genuine knife. It can have the logo, it can say S30V, it can say all that stuff. Look almost exactly the same. But the fasteners will be slightly different than this. As you can see, these are kind of look a little flatter, a little more smushed. And I noticed too on the thumb stud, the machining isn't quite as nice. This is the Benchmade. This is our Amazon knockoff, but looked very similar to the ones I saw on eBay. Kind of hard to tell, but they do look different. The machining actually on the Benchmade one is much nicer. It's much nicer. So let's go with a quick description of what they say the Benchmade knife has as features. Zoom in on them a little bit so they're not hanging out in space there. It is open length 6.49 inches, blade length 2.8 inches, blade thickness 0.09 inches, which is about 3/32, closed length 3.7 inches, handle thickness 0.412 inches, which actually makes it slightly thicker than the knockoff. Maybe it's kind of hard to tell, but it is thicker. Product box blue, Mechanism axis lock, drop point, CF Elite handle, that's the material. Mini deep carry pocket clip, Cerakote blade, black color, clip color black, finish black oxide, clip position tip up. And then blade steel, CMP S30V stainless steel, 58 to 60 HRC hardness, which is a pretty good steel. It's a very good steel, I think, honestly. I really like my old Benchmade with its 154 cm steel, but this seems to be very good as well. So I'm not going to knock it one bit. I'm sure it is definitely 100% better than this. Now, having read all that, some things I want to point out about our knockoff Amazon knife. If I take this handle, oh, I can drop my mic onto the table. Now I can pick it up. Anyway, let's get that back into focus. Now it's got these nice fittings. It's nice, not really bad looking. It actually looks really okay for a $24 knife. But then we have things like this, where I can mush that shut. And if I really wanted to, I don't want to break this knife in half. It's not that bad of a knife that I wanted to snap it right in half right now. Okay, part of me does want to snap it right in half right now. But I have more testing to do with it, and I will digress. Now let's look at the Benchmade. Get our camera back in focus here. And I will squeeze it as hard, or, yep. And I'm not saying it doesn't compress, it does. But, and then right back to shape. I was squeezing it as hard as the other one, and it's not squeezing together. Now I guess you could say that it's because it's shorter. If it were bigger, maybe it would squeeze together more, but I can just tell you from the feeling of it, this is a much sturdier handle. And that goes a lot with these knives because these are not full frame knives. They just have a metal frame up here. And the rest of the frame is made up of the plastic. So it's important that this be very strong and in focus. So without further ado, let's do our sharpness test and see if our $24 knockoff Benchmade can compare to our real legit Benchmade cutting through our nylon lifting strap. Now I like using this material. This is a used nylon lifting strap from my work, which is the steel industry. This is a 10 to 15,000 pound strap. And this black on here is steel that has become impregnated into the strapping because this is used. So this is a great medium to test knives against. One, it tends to be hard to cut, even when it's not packed with steel. And when it's packed with steel, it tends to really want to dull the blade. So we will give, well, if I could get the timer positioned in a place you could see it. You know what? Yeah, almost. Nearly there. Just have to find something to give it a bit of an angle. Maybe not that angle. There we go. Okay, now we will start off with our Amazon knockoff $24 Benchmade Bugout. And that's pretty sharp. I would think it's probably going to get through it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, right through it. About, what's that, 9 seconds, 10 seconds. So let's let this thing run down. Then we'll move over and we'll do our Benchmade right here. But because I bought the cheapest timer in the world, I have to wait for it to run down. Okay, 30 seconds back on the clock. Now, since this has a shorter blade, I don't know. I might not be able to get as good of a stroke. It's got a shorter handle. We'll see. Okay. Okay, well, I was through in about 4 seconds, I think. No, not 4 seconds. It might have been 6 seconds. I'll have to check for sure. I'll put it in the description, but way faster than with our knockoff knife, which is impressive because they both started out pretty sharp. It's still pretty sharp. We don't need you anymore, timer. But it's still pretty sharp. But I was really surprised by that because that doesn't seem that much duller. Well, actually, it doesn't look that much duller because of, you know, you're cutting the paper. It looks really sharp, but actually, I can feel that 100%. I can feel a 100% difference between those two. The drag on this is still like nothing. And the drag on this, it's not, well, actually, let's see if you can, I don't think you're going to be able to tell. But this is the edge from the Benchmade. And that is the edge from the knockoff. It looks a lot more torn. You know what? We don't need this description anymore. Let's go ahead and see that. Do one here that we know. Definitely the knockoff. Okay. Let's flip it over. Definitely the Benchmade. And, okay, well, my cut didn't do that great, but we did get a good cut on it. So let's look at the Benchmade. Looks very smooth. A little bit of tearing, but I would maybe attribute that to myself. But yeah, if we look, yeah, there we go. We can actually see a lot of tearing on the knockoff. So even though it looks pretty sharp, it's not dull. That didn't dull it. I mean, I'm sure it dulled it more than it was. And it didn't quite, there we go. Didn't quite make it through, but that might have been operator error for sure. But overall, what I want people to take away from this video is if you see a knife like this on Amazon that's not branded and you're interested in it and you want to pay $24 for it, I'm not going to encourage you to buy it, but I can understand why you would, because the Benchmade, although a lot better knife, really impressed on this. I can understand the price point is high, and maybe you want to just try one out like this. I can't say that I want to encourage that necessarily, but if they're not selling it as a Benchmade, then at least you're paying a reasonable price, I guess. I would still buy a Ganzo over this because this really isn't, the overall construction of it isn't great. So it's not bad, but for $24, I definitely think there are better knives on Amazon that aren't direct knockoffs of a Benchmade. Now to address what I saw on eBay. I even contacted Benchmade about this because it concerned me so much, and I'll read you what they said to me. They said, and this is as verbatim as I can get, "We do reach out and work closely with our policy and legal team on battling and facing these counterfeit productions. We appreciate your initiative in educating your audience who share the same interest to Benchmade as you. As much as we want to share how we do this, we, however, will take this part as internal for now, but we want to assure you and your audience that we are indeed actively taking an action against this." So Benchmade's response, you know, they're aware of it, they're doing something about it, and I believe what they say. Now, it's funny because right before I was going to make this video, I happened to see an advertisement on YouTube for eBay, and it was like talking about how genuine their merchandise is. And I can tell you right now, from looking at many of the Bugouts on there, they are counterfeit. They are counterfeit for sure. If you see another one of the ones that kind of gets me, Benchmade knives are made in the USA. And you'll see imported Benchmade knife, and it'll say it's listed from China. And it's like, well, it can't be a Benchmade knife because they don't make their knives in China. And pardon me. And then you'll see ones that down in the description, because the blades are all stamped with the S30V steel. But then down in the description, it might say blade stamped S30V, actually 440C, or the same stuff that this is, the 8CR13 MOV. That's part of why I don't necessarily trust that that is what that is. So you really need to be careful on eBay. I honestly, I bought this from a local authorized Benchmade dealer. I got a good price on it. It's a genuine knife. I know it's the genuine knife, and it works great. Now, like I said, you want to buy the knockoff, the lookalike, as long as you know what you're getting, that's on you if you want to do that. But do not buy the counterfeit knives on eBay. That's just wrong. There's nothing good about them, and you're probably going to get the same $24 knife, and you're going to pay $60 to $120. So, you know, though, I was thinking about something that this knockoff Amazon knife could do that I would never do with this, or at least something that buying it allows me to do. So I appreciate you watching. I hope you have a great day, and stick around to see what I figured out. Oh hey, I just got this awesome knife from Amazon. Take a look. Be careful though. It's razor sharp. You'd never do that with a Benchmade box. I mean, I would never desecrate it like that. Anyway, this is food coloring. This isn't blood, so don't get mistaken. And this is my finger. It's a very old prank, and if you haven't ever seen it before, well, now you can do it to your friends. Again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.